Hello, Professor. This is Veronica Hernandez for EDAD 608, and this is my second reflective video journal. And on this occasion, we're talking about zero tolerance policies as far as expulsion and suspensions. And the first thing that I wanted to do is talk a little bit about the zero tolerance policies and the negative effects of it. And as I was reading, I found that the arguments include accountability for students and parents. It eliminates distractions. It increases safety for other students. It's a last resort, and it should offer policy and holistic services, but not until after the expulsion has been completed. So I do disagree with zero tolerance policies, and on a personal level, I can tell you that many years ago, probably about 10 years ago, my niece went to school and she took a BB gun. She was like a third grader, and she didn't really know that that was against the rules. And so at that time, she could have got expelled, and they did tell her that there was a zero tolerance for it, but they didn't suspend her. She was allowed to stay in school. She was allowed to finish the year, but they did offer her counseling, and they did offer her other alternatives instead of expelling her. So to me, she was a student that had not gotten into any trouble before. If it would have been a true zero tolerance policy, she would have been expelled from school, and she wouldn't have been able, or her parents, to do anything about it, even though she did not have any kind of record. So I really think about that when I think of students that get expelled. Just because it's zero tolerance doesn't mean that it's better, and I don't think so. I also looked at the arguments against zero tolerance policies, and some of them were school to prison pipeline, increases the distrust of police. Students are more likely to fall out of the educational system. It increases the amount of suspensions and expulsions. And then people that actually get suspended will continue to get suspended again and again and again, because then they start seeing that it's easy for them not to be at school. Overall, there are negative effects with the zero tolerance policies, and we find that suspension is very much ineffective. The suspension is not going to help our students, especially if they keep getting in trouble. What does that mean? It just means that the suspension is not working for that student. They need other kinds of services. Unfortunately, students with disabilities, which my niece had a disability, she was in special ed, actually get more. They make choices sometimes. Their disability at times does not allow them to make the right choices. So they at times suffer the consequences of zero tolerance policies, where they get suspended more. Not just they do, but also students that are from different racial backgrounds that are not white, like Hispanics and Blacks. And we've seen the different numbers come in, and we know that they will get suspended more often and expulsion more often. And most of the time, the zero tolerance policies really affect students of color. It also increases dropout rate for students. So students will be more likely to drop out because they've been suspended so many times. They just get accustomed to not being in school. In my opinion, schools should offer every avenue possible before suspending a student. A teacher came to me just recently telling me, oh, you know what, I think the student should be suspended from my class. And I said, why? She said, well, he doesn't behave. I said, well, have you tried to call in the parents? And she said, well, I did try, but I haven't gotten a hold of them. I said, well, why would you suspend? If you haven't talked to the parents, you need to sit with the student, you need to sit with a counselor, you need to do everything first. You need to talk to the parent liaison, have the parent liaison make a phone call, home visit, everything in your power before you actually suspend a student or think about suspending a student. Because just because you suspend a student doesn't mean the student's going to have a change in attitude. So we have to find programs that are going to help support that student during the day. If they're not feeling, if they're not learning, if they're not listening, there's something going on that we have to figure out why that behavior is the way that it is. So I'm lucky enough to work for a district that really, it's not a zero tolerance policy. It's a very, very, very last result. There has to be very much evidence before they will expel a student. And I do agree with that. So, Professor, this is for now. I hope I've been able to clarify my thoughts on the zero tolerance policies. And I hope you have a great weekend. Okay? Bye-bye.